Good morning, students. Today we are going to read the chapter The Making of the National Movement from 1870s to 1947. So this is a very important chapter in your history section of social science. This is chapter 9, by the way. So first of all, we are going to look at the emergence of nationalism in India. In the previous chapters, we have already studied the British conquest of territories in India and their takeover of the kingdoms and tribal lands, and the introduction of new laws and administrative institutions, and changes in the lives of peasants and tribes, educational changes and challenges to the caste system, social and religious reform. And we have also studied the most important, the revolt of 1857, or what we call it as the first battle for independence, or Sepoy Mutiny. So the emergence of nationalism in India, it came from the feeling that India should be for Indians, irrespective of caste, class, creed, or gender. This consciousness began to be clearly stated by the political institutions formed at around 1850s, especially those that came into being in 1870s and 1880s, and the organizations that or political associations that came up in around 1870s and 1880s are the Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, the Indian Association, the Madras Mahajan Sabha, the Bombay Presidency Association, and most importantly, the Indian National Congress in 1885. So, this Pune Sarvajanik Sabha literally means that of the people, of all the people. Through many of these associations function in specific parts of the country, their goal was stated clearly as the as independence and self-determination for the people of India. They worked with an idea that people should be sovereign. And do you know what is the meaning of sovereign? So the sovereign means the capacity to act independently without any outside interference or influence. So they work for sovereignty, a modern consciousness that and a key feature of nationalism. So, in other words, they believe that Indian people should be empowered to take decisions and to decide their fate by themselves. So the dissatisfaction of the British rule intensified in the 1870s and 80s, and the Arms Act was passed in 1878, and the disallowing Indians to possess any kind of arm. So which we are going to discuss later, but for now let's concentrate on the formation of the Indian National Congress. So it was formed as a formed by a delegation of 72 candidates that came from all across the country. And notable ones are Dadabhai Naoroji, P. Mehta, Badruddin Taibji, W.C. Banerjee, Surendranath Banerjee, Ramesh Chandra Dutt, and S. Subramania, and A.O. Hume. So in here you can find that there is one British name here, who is A.O. Hume. Okay, who is he actually? Let's study. So he was a retired British official, and he played a very important role in organizing Indians from various regions together. The Congress was formed because a need for all India organization was felt in the 1880s. In 1880s, and the Dadabhai Naoroji was based in London. He was a businessman and a publicist, and for some time he was also the member of Parliament of the Britain. So publicist is someone who publishes an idea by circulating information, writing reports, or writing at meetings. So next, here is a picture. Can you see? This is a picture of Nauroji, and he wrote the book Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. It was very popular at that time in India, and which offered a scathing criticism of it means very harsh criticism of the economic impact of British rule in India. So next, we are going to study about the three, which we shortly call as Lal, Bal, and Pal. Means Lal Bahadur Shastri, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So this famous quote is from Bal Gangadhar Tilak: "Freedom is my birthright, and I shall have it." So here you can see that he was very radical in his approach to nationalism. In 1980s and 90s, many Indians began to raise questions about the political style of Congress. It was only 5 years since its birth. In Bengal, in Maharashtra, in Punjab, and leaders such as which I just told, Bipin Chandra Pal, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and Lala Lajpat Rai, were beginning to explore more radical objectives and methods. They criticized the moderates of the Congress for their politics of prayers and emphasized the importance of self-reliance and constructive work. They argued that people must rely on their own strength and not on the good intentions of the government. So Bal Gangadhar Tilak famously quoted, "Freedom is my birthright, and I shall have it," which means that it is an inherent right, and people must have it. Freedom. So here is a picture of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He started as an editor of the newspaper Kesari. So he was a newspaper editor, which was very critical of the British rule in India. So you see that everyone started by different means, by protesting, by through literary means, through magazines or books, as we have seen in the case of Dadabhai Nauroji, and here in the case of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So this is a picture of Lala Lajpat Rai. He was a nationalist from Punjab. Then it was called the Northwest Frontier Province, and one of the leading member of the radical group which was critical of the politics of partitions, because we know that at that time the Bengal was partitioned into two, and East Bengal was added to Assam in 1905, and this partition of Bengal was done by Viceroy Curzon in 1905. Remember the name Viceroy Curzon. Okay, so now other major events, as we have just seen, the partition of Bengal in 1905, because at that time Bengal was the biggest province in India, and it also included Assam, Bihar, and parts of Orissa as well. The British argued that to divide Bengal has reasons of administrative convenience, but that convenience meant that they wanted to divide the politics of Bengal into Hindu and Muslim lines. And the other major events are the Swadeshi movement, also known as the Vande Mataram movement in Andhra Pradesh, and formation of All India Muslim League in Dhaka in 1906, which was partially a result of the partition of Bengal in 1905. And the Congress split into two in 1907 into moderates and radicals. And let me tell you that they also united after a few months, and all these events were a build up towards the non-cooperation movement, or along with the Khilafat movement in 1919, 1920 and 1921. Okay, these major events set the background and set the base of agony and frustration among Indians for a mass movement across India. So this is all for today's class. If you have any problem, you can ask me, and I have a small homework for you. So imagine that you are involved in the Indian national movement. How would you protest against the British rule? It can be anything. You can march on the streets. You can choose to write literature, poems, stories, or novels, or in the magazines, or you can join any of the organizations such as uh, uh, in the Indian National Congress. Anything you can imagine, write in about 100 to 120 words, and I hope you can do it. And this is all for today's class. In the next class we will see how non-cooperation movement unfolded across the country. Thank you, students.